and this is my first reflection on my personal teaching identity. This reflection is very special for me because it makes me think deeply about who I want to be as a teacher, not just what subject I will teach. When I think about my own experience learning English, grammar drills were very common. I remember spending hours memorizing tenses and rules. At that time, I thought it was the only way to learn. But when I tried to use English in conversations, I realized I struggled. That experience shaped my belief and made me realize that grammar is important, but it cannot stand alone. Now I believe communication and meaningful practice are just as important as accuracy. At the same time, I must admit one of my biases. I usually enjoy when students are outspoken and active because they make the classroom lively. But I realize that these can lead me to give less attention to the quiet ones. I know I need to challenge myself to draw them in, maybe by giving smaller groups or asking questions to help them participate. Another thing that I value in teaching is fairness and respect. I want my students to feel safe in the classroom. If they make mistakes, I don't want them to feel embarrassed. I see mistakes as part of learning and I want to encourage them to take risks without fear. So, my teaching identity is about balance, balancing grammar with communication and balancing between confident and quiet learners. This reflection helped me realize that my identity is developing, but what matters most is that I want to be a fair, encouraging, and supportive teacher. Hello, this is my second reflection. Today I want to talk about inclusivity in language teaching. Inclusivity is about creating a classroom environment where students feel welcome, supported, and confident to participate. I believe this is a key part of being an effective teacher. I can relate to this because I was once a shy student. In English class, I often felt nervous to speak in front of others and worrying about my mistakes. So that experience helps me understand how some students might feel anxious and hesitant to participate. So in my future classroom, I plan to create a safe space for all learners. So for shy students, I will use pair work or group discussions before asking them to present in front of the whole class. This allows them to practice and build confidence in a smaller, comfortable setting. I also want to respect students' home languages. Some learners may speak more than one language. So instead of discouraging code switching, I will guide them to connect their first language with English, using it as a tool to support learning rather than seeing it as a mistake. Additionally, I plan to use a variety of activities to meet different learning needs. Visual, auditory, and hands-on tasks can help every student engage with the lesson and feel successful. Overall, inclusivity means acknowledging differences, valuing every learner, and helping each student feel capable. My goal is to foster a classroom where confidence grows and mistakes are seen as part of learning and every student is respected and encouraged. Hi, this is my third reflection vlog. Today I want to talk about how Vygotsky's theory connects to my future teaching practice. One of the Vygotsky's key ideas is the zone of proximal development, or ZPD. He explains that students learn best when they are guided just beyond what they can do on their own. Learning happens when students receive support from their teacher or from their peers to reach the next level. So in practice, this means I will provide carefully. For example, I might model how to complete a task first, then allow students to try it in pairs or small groups. I will give hints and guidance as needed and gradually step back as they gain confidence and independence. I also see ZPD as a reason to encourage collaboration among students. The stronger students can support the weaker ones, and everyone benefits from working together. This helps learning and also builds a sense of community in the classroom.
Hello, this is my final reflection. In this vlog, I want to share what I have learned from my previous reflections and how this process has shaped me as a future teacher. When I began this assignment, I thought reflection was simply about looking back and describing what I had done. But through this vlog entries, I realized that reflection goes much deeper. It is about my understanding my own beliefs, recognizing my strengths and weaknesses, and imagining the kind of teacher I want to become. This has been a very personal process, and I believe it will continue to guide me in my teaching journey. In my first reflection about personal teaching identity, I explored my values and beliefs about language learning. I realized that teaching is not just about delivering knowledge, but also about guiding and encouraging students. I discovered that I value fairness, patience, and communication. I want every student to feel that they are part of the learning process and not left behind. At the same time, I noticed that I have certain biases. For example, I tend to pay more attention to outspoken students because they are visible and easy to notice. Quieter students can fade into the background. Becoming aware of this has made me more determined to give equal opportunities to all learners, even the ones who do not always raise their hands. These reflections help me see that knowing myself is the first step to becoming an inclusive teacher. In my second reflection about inclusivity, I thought about my own experience as a shy student. I used to hesitate before speaking because I was afraid of making mistakes. That feeling of fear stopped me from participating fully in the class. Remembering that experience helps me understand students who may feel the same. In my future classroom, I want to create a safe and supportive environment where students can try without worrying about being judged. I will use pair work or group work to make participation less stressful and more natural. I will also respect students who come from multilingual backgrounds. Instead of discouraging them from using their first language, I will use it as a bridge to learning English. Inclusivity also means recognizing different learning styles. Some students learn better through visuals, others through listening, and some through doing hands-on tasks. I want to design lessons that give every student a chance to succeed in their own way. This reflection reminded me that a teacher is not just an in structure but also a builder of confidence. In my third reflection, I focus on Vygotsky and his idea of the zone of proximal development. This theory helps me see that students grow best when they are supported at the right level. If the task is too easy, they will not learn much, and if it is too difficult, they may feel discouraged. My role as a teacher is to provide the right level of guidance so they can move forward step by step. I will model tasks, provide hints, and then step back as students gain confidence. I also believe collaboration is very important. Students can support each other just as much as the teacher supports them. Stronger students can guide the weaker ones, and everyone benefits from the exchange of ideas. I want to create a classroom where learning is not only about individual effort but also about community support. This reflection taught me that theory is not just something that we read in books. It is something that we can apply directly to our classroom practice. Looking back at these three reflections, I can see how my understanding of teaching has developed. At first, I only thought that about what I believe, but then I connected it with how my background shapes my teaching, and finally, I connected it with my theory. This shows me that teaching is a balance of self-awareness, empathy, and knowledge. I feel more confident now about the kind of teacher I want to be. Overall, these reflections have changed the way I see teaching. Teaching is not only about covering the syllabus or making sure students pass exams. It is also about creating an environment where students feel respected, valued, and capable of learning. I realized that self-awareness is not a one-time task. It is something I must practice continuously as I grow in my career. So each group of students will be different, and I must always reflect on how my beliefs and practices affect them. One of the most important lessons I have learned is that mistakes are part of learning. Students need to feel safe to make mistakes and try again. I also want to encourage my students to take risks and discover their strengths. I also want to recognize the uniqueness of each learner. Every student has a different story and different background and a different way of learning. And my role is to guide them with patience and to believe in their potential even when they doubt themselves. This reflection process has also shown me that being a teacher is both a responsibility and a privilege. It is a responsibility because I must guide students in their learning journey. It is a privilege because I am given the chance to make a positive impact on their lives. These vlogs have helped me grow personally and professionally. They have taught me that reflection is not just for assignments. It is a habit that I need to carry with me into my career so that I can always improve and always understand my students better. In conclusion, I want to be a teacher who encourages students to communicate, explore, and develop confidence. I want to provide guidance when needed, create opportunities for collaboration, and respect the diversity in my classroom. Most of all, I want to build a learning environment that is safe, inclusive, and inspiring. These reflections have helped me understand myself better and have given me a clearer vision of my teaching philosophy. I am grateful for this opportunity to reflect, and I am excited to apply these lessons in my future classroom.
So that's all from me. Thank you for watching.